All right, welcome to Bleav in Clemson football, a special Clemson South Carolina edition as we get you set for the rivalry game that we call Clemson-Carolina. We're not going to go with those other people call it because it's Clemson-Carolina to anybody that was born in the Palmetto State. Um, this is a special one because the guy we're going to bring in here, Alex, in just a second, is probably the most revered by any Clemson fan in this rivalry and the most hated by any Gamecock fan in this rivalry, and that'll be Charlie Whitehurst, who we're going to bring up here in a second. Alex, real fast, your early memories of Charlie before we bring him in, and what were your thoughts? I covered him for all 4 years when he was there, and I got to see all of them. And so your thoughts, though, just from a guy who grew up watching Charlie Whitehurst.
Well, when Charlie was playing for Clemson, I was really first starting to become a Clemson fan or realize that I was a Clemson fan because I was a little kid. And one year for Christmas, my dad got me the Greenville News cover of Charlie after he had the scramble for the first down to beat Carolina for the fourth time in a row. It said Tigers did it again, and I had that on my wall growing up. So pretty cool full circle moment for me. And like you said, I don't know if there are very many people in this rivalry that kind of encapsulate what it means from a Clemson side like this guy.
All right, and with that said, coming on now on the Bleav in Clemson football, presented by FanDuel, is the Gamecock killer himself, Charlie Whitehurst. Charlie, how you doing, man? First of all, appreciate you joining us today. I know you're busy, and it really does. We do appreciate you joining us.
I appreciate it. I'm not too busy. I've got a little bit of cooking to do for Thanksgiving tomorrow, but I just dated this video. Sorry, but
No, you're
yeah,
good.
no, I'm not too busy. I appreciate that intro, Alex.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Charlie, when I say Gamecock killer, what does that mean to you?
Well, yeah, I certainly understand what it means, and I remember going into that last game. It was everybody wanted to talk to me about it, but there were a lot of other guys that were there for those 4 years too. And the overlap, the older guys, the younger guys that played in some of the games that I played in. But I mean, there's a handful of guys that played in all four. A lot of those coaches were there, the all four. So I know I get a lot of credit for that. But it did have a lot of help, and it was pretty pretty incredible by the end, by like that fourth game compared to the first game I played in. I'm from Georgia. I didn't know a lot about the rivalry going in. My first year where I was redshirted, you were hearing about it, and it was pretty eye opening when you went down there to Columbia and I watched the team play. I didn't play in that game, but 4 or 5 years later, it is a pretty big deal, and I'm proud and glad that we were able to win all four of them for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are the reason people. I know you don't want to make it a big deal, but you are the only quarterback on either side of the rivalry to go 4-0, and it might be a mark that'll stay forever considering in this day and age of college football now, quarterbacks don't stay 4 years, Charlie. So
No.
you got to kind of like it that maybe you'll be the only guy to ever have this record.
Yeah, I think there's a decent chance of that. When you see Deshaun was playing pretty well as a young player, and Trevor was playing well, I said these guys aren't going to be here 4 years, so I think I'm good for at least a few more years. So we'll see. Yeah, it might be a while.
Charlie, I want to kind of ask you about that. Growing up in the state of Georgia, what did you know about Clemson, Carolina before you got to the upstate? And just kind of what was it like for you that first time watching the game and really understanding it in person?
Yeah, probably didn't know anything. I actually the first Clemson game I saw, I was dressed out for. I did not come on an unofficial visit to Clemson. I mean, literally the first time I was ever in the state. I saw a high school game when I was young in the stadium. I think I saw Stephen Davis play a high school game. But the first Clemson game I saw, I warmed up for and stood on the sidelines in 2001 as a redshirt. So that tells you how much I knew really about Clemson. I didn't know much about the rivalry. We went down there that first year. I was redshirted. I knew there was no chance of me playing. Woody was the quarterback. Willie was there. And we lost the game. And I remember guys from South Carolina, on our team. I mean, there was some tears in the locker room, to be honest. I mean, it was just like, I mean, these big burly older guys. You're 18, 19 years old. These are like old men. Like 22, 23 years old. And I mean, it was kind of shocking how much it there was a little bit to learn there, and the next year I got to play in it, and I certainly felt just about all of it. I mean, it was a big deal, and we won the next game, but I knew nothing about it. We didn't. Be honest, I wasn't a huge college football fan as a kid. We didn't follow it that much. Like in the house I grew up in, it was the Atlanta Braves and the Green Bay Packers. Really, I mean, it was more of a NFL football fan, and so it happened pretty fast. That first year, I got my eyes open quickly.
I'm glad you brought up the Packers because probably some people who don't know that your dad was a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, right?
Yeah, he played there. I was actually born in Green Bay. People with my accent, people wouldn't realize that, But we didn't live there very long. He was done there. 83 was his last season there, and I was born in 82. But yeah, I mean, I just always knew about the Packers, and he coached me growing up, and that was what it's about. It wasn't the Falcons, it wasn't the Georgia Bulldogs, it was Packers and Atlanta Braves.
Well, I want to ask you about we'll start with the 2002 game because this one is not only significant because it was your first game in the rivalry starting, but it was also the 100th anniversary game of the rivalry, which made it even bigger, right? And here you are as a redshirt freshman, your first time starting in this game. And Charlie, I don't know if you remember, but you guys were down 20-13 going into the fourth quarter. And you brought the Tigers back to get a win. I think that's where that lore started with you in the beating the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I remember that game very well. That's maybe the football game in my life that is kind of the most mysterious and I don't know really what the adjectives would be, but like I think about it, and it's almost surreal. I kind of had some pressure going in. That was my fourth start, so I played 2 games and played well. We whipped Duke bad, then beat North Carolina, and it was kind of easy. It was kind of easy for me. I was like, this is easier than I thought. And then we go to Maryland comes to us the third game, and we can't do anything on offense. And so I remember going into that South Carolina game going, I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, I thought this was easy, and it's not. It was a night game. It was, like you said, the 100th game. And I don't even, it's really even strange to even talk about that game because it's so, I know I'm just rambling, but it ended up going our way. I remember all the plays in that fourth quarter, and all that. And it was it's just unreal. I had Willie Simmons, they had put me in for Willie earlier, and I do remember feeling like I was a part of it. Winning that game, I kind of felt like it was now I had done something. I felt like I was a Clemson football player. I was from out of state. It's almost like the in-state guys, you kind of did something and made them feel really good because the year before, those guys are teared up in the locker room afterwards, so we had done that. It's like, all right, for 12 months, everything's okay here. And I remember Willie running out. I think I did the kneel the ball in victory, probably the last play after we gave it to Keith Yusuf Kelly, 8 times in a row to run the clock out. And Willie came was the first one that jumped on me. And it was kind of an interesting personal moment between us, because it was a little weird when you replace the quarterback and stuff like that. So I could go on and on for 30 minutes about that one. It was really, really, really fun. Really fun, I'll say that.
I want to go one play on that game though, and it was your touchdown that tied it up. I still think, I know you had a 60-something yard run against Miami, I think, in 05, which was a good run. But I think that touchdown run against South Carolina was your best run of your career. Do you remember it? And can you talk me through it? Because you went to your left, it wasn't open, and then I don't know how in the world you got in the end zone. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, I was about 210 pounds back then, so I could run a little bit, or maybe less. I was pretty. I could run. That was about as fast as I could run, in my life right there. But yeah, I mean, he was free. It was was it Pinkins, or it was the guy that played some quarterback for him. I should remember, exactly But
The linebacker number 5, yeah.
yeah, he came free, and we didn't block him, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd ever done that in my life, to be honest. I guess I'd seen it on TV a few times. You just kind of spin around, see what happens. If he runs upfield when you turn your back, he's gonna hit you, and the ball's
Mhm.
gonna go on the ground probably. But I was able to get outside of him, and there was just kind of nobody there. And I was looking to throw, and I said, "Well, let's see how far I can get." And all of a sudden, it was in the end zone. So that was, and the stadium was starting to, was that did that tie the game
That
ish?
tied
I
it.
think
Yep.
so.
Yep.
The stadium was it was just wild in there, and I remember kind of running off, going, I don't. I didn't think of myself as like a runner in high school much, but you made that run. It was like coming off. There was a kid that went to high school with me, played high school baseball, John Ingram. He was on a recruiting visit for baseball at Clemson, and he was on the sideline with another one of our buddies, Brad McCann. And I remember sitting down after that play, and the place is still going crazy, and we're kind of in it, and like, see, let's see who's going to win this game. And I just had a calm over me, even though it was like we're in this rivalry game and it's happening, and this is a real game. And I was feeling pretty. I looked over, and my buddy was just kind of over there staring at me, and the crowd was going crazy, and we're about to kick off. And I just kind of, I don't know if I winked at him or what, but I remember seeing, a childhood friend over there going, "Oh boy, this is the real deal now," So that was a fun play. I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, what do you kind of remember about the build up to those games, and seeing the way that kind of the whole town and the whole state works into a frenzy on Thanksgiving week leading up to that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can tell it's taken pretty seriously, and it's funny because it's long ago now. I mean, golly, it's like 20 years ago, and I don't get the stirs of, I haven't played football in 10 years anyway, but like it's rare I'll watch a game. Like I don't watch game day and stuff. I don't know why, but I don't. Maybe I'm trying to stay away from that nervous, exciting feeling that you get, the week of
Mhm.
these big games. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it was just, like, and the seasons are changing. It's starting to get colder. It's starting to turn into football weather. And everybody, everybody in the whole state, that's what everybody was talking about, and the media would kick up, that Monday after the Monday practice, and you'd start talking about it. And the coaches, I don't really remember the coaches having to say more, it was just like everybody felt it because you had so many guys from in-state and so many guys that played like on our team against those guys in high school. Everybody knew everybody,
Mhm.
from South Carolina at least. Like you're still kind of an outsider, even like 2, 3, 4 years in. It's like these guys in state are taking this. They're talking about it. They're talking about the other guys over there. So it was just, I don't know. I guess you kind of do get used to it after you do it a few times, but really that first one, that 0-2 game was all right. Here we go. I mean, they're actually gonna. I had a coach, Rich Bisaccia, in he's a special teams coach, in the NFL, and he started every meeting with he had a football right there on a tee. This was his refresher film, of special teams night before the game, and he'd have the kicker kicking the ball, and he'd say they're going to kick the ball off, and then he'd go into his meeting, and it was just a reminder. It's like this is going to happen, and you better be ready because they're going to kick it off, and so eventually the game comes, and then you don't have to worry about other stuff. But yeah, it's pretty wild leading up to it.
Charlie, do you remember much about 63-17 game other than the score?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
Because
remember. Look.
you were in a zone that day. That's why I asked.
Yeah. Well, they were in a cover 2 zone, and they just stayed in it. Like
Love it.
that was funny. Like yeah. And the first one to him. I mean, that was awesome. I remember seeing him. It was a corner post, so it wasn't just like lean out and get down the middle. I mean, he went to the corner and then back. Then you've got to throw it pretty early. But I remember, he's long and lean. I saw him turn out, and I cut it loose and just kind of like, you don't know. You got to make a decision to throw the ball to a spot in a certain amount of time, right? And once the ball
Mhm.
comes out of your hand, there's nothing you can do about it. And when you're kind of anticipating this thing, you don't know what's going to happen. You decide to do it, and it takes, I don't know, a quarter second for it to actually happen. And he's taking another step, and but usually when it comes out, the instant it comes out, you kind of know, did I time this right? And is this ball going to hit him where it needs to hit him? And I just remember throwing that one right as he started, and then, he came out, and I said, all right, I think we got something here. If it gets over this defender. And that was exciting because the stadium was going crazy. I mean, Columbia is a tough place to play for sure. I'll give them credit on that one. I mean, it's loud and it's hostile, and we couldn't hear anything. We were doing a lot of our calls at the line, the audible stuff, looking over to the sideline and everything, and just screaming at the absolute top of your lungs. And like the right tackle looking at you like nothing. You'd have to run over there and tell him. I mean, screaming, you're 3 feet away from him, screaming at the top of your lungs, 36 zone, just for him to hear you. So that was going on there, and then we hit that one, and it kind of cooled off. So that was cool. And then hit Aries on the next one, Ben Hall on the next one, kind of off and running then.
Yeah, 302 yards. Still the most points scored by either team in the rivalry. We hope that stands, unless Clemson breaks it with 70, right? I mean, I think we'll be okay with that part of it. But
Sure.
You gotta love that, though, when people to this day, even though Clemson is won, like Deshaun's team won 56-7 against them years later, but still to this day, nobody talks about that game. They always talk about 63-17. You got to love that, right? That when everybody always talks about that game.
Yeah, I mean, you do. You still hear it. I mean, at least I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and it's got a kind of a ring to it. Like if the numbers were different, maybe it wouldn't, come up as much. But yeah, I mean, it's just cool that a lot of those things happened. I mean, and everybody goes through a football career, and there's some heartbreak that happens, and there's some triumph that happens, and it's just interesting that I'm attached to some of those, and they're just kind of cool. I mean, like I have something to do with that, and people still say it, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Do you think that's the game that got you the unlimited beer tab in Clemson, or do you think it was winning the fourth one?
I don't know. Oh man, probably I don't know. Good point. I remember, golly, like when I was in school there, having to turn a lot of that stuff down, like you go out and everybody, these guys wanted to take a shot. And I had to come up with like a polite way to be like, no, I can't do it anymore. I've had enough, and it wasn't ever girls, coming up and trying a shot. It's always guys wanting to talk, at the bar, and like, give them a couple minutes, you know what I mean? If they bought you a shot, and I was like, I don't know about this anymore, but yeah, I usually people just kind of, I have a little too much when I'm in town. Let's just say that.
I love it. Hey, okay, from your perspective, you guys won. You threw 3 touchdown passes in 2004, 12-17. A lot of people don't remember that you guys even won the game 29-7 because of what happened. You were on the sideline in 2004 when the infamous brawl occurred between you and Carolina. Can you take us through what you remember when all that broke out?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of shocked because it starts happening. It's like a fire, you know what I mean, with gasoline. It's just a little bit. It's like whoa. It starts going a little bit over here, and then after 20, 30 seconds, it was going. There's nothing anybody could do about it. So I was standing there, and I said, "Dang, looks like everybody's going." So I think I had my helmet in my hand, so I kind of slid it on.
Smart.
Good decision.
Yeah, starting to buckle up, and something crazy happened over there. I kind of took a step. I'm still on the sideline. Tommy Bowden, looking at the video now, Bowden was out there pretty early, and then there's nothing anybody could do about it. Mm-hmm. So I'd moved out kind of on the numbers, and I'm looking, and after like the first step I take, I run into somebody, and it's Tommy Bowden coming back to take his headset off or whatever. We run into each other, look at each other. He puts his finger in my face, says, "You stay back." And I said, "All right, no problem." I mean, I was told by the man in charge, no, you don't take another step. So, you're strapping up because like your buddies are out there. You better get out there. And so I didn't really participate in that. But I saw everything, and golly, it's part of the rivalry now for sure. I'm not. I do to this day still Bleav that their bench cleared before ours did. I think that they knew Lou was not going to be their coach, and he didn't have as much control. No, I'm not disrespecting Lou at all, but I think that's what happened. And one sideline's not going to clear. Both are going to. It's going to do it. But I Bleav that they kind of did it. But yeah, it's pretty wild.
I remember, now you correct me if I'm wrong, because the media, we get to go down the last 5 minutes of the game and we can see things. So I'm standing on the back end zone, the east side end zone, and you guys scored that drive before the brawl broke out. And if I know I saw 3 times Reggie was getting punched every time he took the ball. And I know Reggie has talked about that publicly. He's talked about how he was punched. Is that kind of what precipitated, because there was the referees weren't calling that, and it kind of was maybe getting to you, and that's why Bobby retaliated with what he did to Newton there that started it?
Right. Yeah, Bobby had something to do with it, obviously. Yeah, I don't know if that was talked about. I think what happens is everybody kind of feels it starting to get more chippy, as they say, and some maybe cheap stuff, maybe not, whatever. But it just starts happening. Everybody feels it. I don't know if there was talked about. Like you go up to the pitcher and you say, "I need you to throw at this guy." I don't think that was necessarily. I don't know. I mean, maybe he said it. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Bobby was giving a little something extra there, but he's a feisty guy, and that's the way he did things a lot of the time. So I don't know. It's just something that happens.
I know, real fast, I'll let Alex get in on something here, but my wife's cousin came up for the game that day because he had always heard about the Clemson-Carolina game. He's from Florida, so he wanted to see it for himself. And so when we left that afternoon, he says, "I'm never coming back here again to this game. You feel like you're going to die. This is a rivalry." He's like, "Man, these guys want to go to war." And it kind of was funny. Like, he'll to this day still talks about that game. So it's pretty funny that, you guys left a lasting impression on him on what the Clemson-Carolina rivalry is.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I remember it was when Rob Spence became our offensive coordinator before the 05 season. And he wasn't rolling his eyes or anything at the idea of the rivalry. I don't mean that, but I remember him after the game kind of going, that was more than all the lore and stuff in the media the week before and stuff about how intense it is. And I think they ought to play that game at night. I don't care if the TV will cover it or not. I know they're playing it at noon this year. I mean, that game should be 7:00 at night, no matter where it's played. But him saying afterwards, going, that was more than that was a more intense environment than I expected. With hostility, and Columbia is pretty tough down there. I think we're more hospitable, but it makes it fun for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie, going into that 2005 game, I'm sure that you had heard that you had the chance to be the first to go 4-0, and that billing had kind of come to you. How'd you manage that going into the game?
Yeah, it was a tough year personally for me because I was injured. My shoulder was hurt, and I was getting. I still don't know what the hell. I mean, I had 2 surgeries on it after that, but it would my rotator cuff would get just completely inflamed, and I was taking lidocaine shots in my rotator cuff for the games. I would practice on like Tuesday, wouldn't practice on Wednesday, do a little bit on Thursday, and then rest up and numb my rotator cuff to play. And I'm saying that not for sympathy or anything, just like I was always confident in my physical ability. I knew that I could throw, and I knew that I was mentally going to be competitive. I could kind of hang my hat on that like I was tough and I could do something with my arm. I couldn't do the things that year with my arm. I just didn't have sometimes it worked perfect, other times, and I couldn't feel it during the games. It was just kind of like, it was just a weird confidence, and it brought my confidence down a little bit. So going into that one, you don't really know what you're going to feel like. And then as the game started, ended up throwing it to him twice pretty early. And it just wasn't going. It wasn't going right. And we were just bad the whole first half. I mean, we were bad. And I kind of got a little bit, Tommy Bowden told me, he said, you got to get something going, and I knew what that meant was the last thing I'd ever want to do was try somebody else, but you got to get something going, in the second half coming out. And that was shocking, just to like, all right, that's where we are. And luckily James Davis in the offensive line got it going, and we hit a couple. We started hitting a couple passes for sure,
Yeah.
But I don't remember the question. I've been talking. Sorry, I've been rambling. But just the feeling going in.
Yeah, it's kind of that feeling going
different that
in, and what was that like for you too, to know that you didn't have your fastball, to use the baseball analogy, going into it and just trying to find a way to get it done?
Yeah, I mean, I get you throw it a little earlier, I guess. I mean, it was so different for me because you're kind of like, that's what I hung my hat on. I know I could set my feet and throw the ball, even if you getting confused coverage wise or whatever. I mean, if I have the ball in my hand, I could do something, and luckily our defense was keeping us in the game. I think it was 13-9, I think.
That's right.
At the end. So, I mean, we only scored 13. So, you just keep battling. You just keep going. And, we were huddling at that point. That year, we weren't doing the no huddle stuff. We were actually huddling. And we're first and 35. And it's like, let's just try to get 10. Let's just try to. We just got to complete the ball. Let's go. Let's hold up. No penalties. So there's stuff like that going. You just start coming together a little bit more. And this is it. We got to make something happen these next two drives. And yeah, I mean, I remember handing the ball off to James. It's probably one play in particular, but a couple where I think there was one right up the middle where he got down to like the 2-yard line, and just watching him run as a true freshman too was just when he'd feel it out. And then when he saw it opening, even before I could see an opening, because I'm standing behind him, I'm seeing what he's seeing, but you could see him like hit the throttle. He'd go from like 3/4 throttle to full throttle. You see him go, whoa, and it was just open, and he juiced it up the middle that one time and got down to like the 2 or the 3 and were able to score. But just watching his body language and him run was just, it was just awesome to see that. He's got something. There he goes,
You brought it up, 1st and 35. Not only, I mean, you're the guy known as the Gamecock killer. You got that lore. You had what happened your freshman year, where you scored that touchdown and bring Clemson back to beat the Gamecocks when they thought they had Clemson beaten in that 100th game. You got 63-17. You got all this lore already. And then he's like, let's just top it. Let's go 1st and 35, game-winning drive. If I don't, you got to do something here. You're losing the game. Is that easy, huh?
Yeah, I guess. It's funny that I just thought about it a little bit more, and there was a time where I remembered exactly, because there was 2 penalties that got us back, and I can't remember exactly, but one of them was a hold.
Yeah,
it may have been. I don't remember exactly.
And I think one was a PI, OPI.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But after the first one was like, all right, let's go. And then after the second one, we go back 1st and 35. I think if I remember more clearly now, it was more of like, all right, there's nothing really to talk about now. It's not like, hey, we got him. Let's just, it was just like, all right, like everybody kind of knew. It's like, do this again. We're not gonna overcome this. But yeah, I mean, and I remember the plays. It was like a middle screen first, I guess, to James, and then hit Chancey over the middle, and then Bayham on a corner to the right. And it just like, you have to hit them. You have to hit them all. And I remember after that one, I mean, you got the first down. It's like, how did that? Oh my gosh. I mean, like it's over then, as in like you're out of the hole at least, you're back to normal schedule. And golly, I mean, I don't know how it happened, but everybody made the play when they had to.
All right. And then to top it off, you guys go down, score. James Davis scores a touchdown. You're up 13-9. Defense gets a stop. You get the ball back. But they're using their timeouts. You got 3rd and 9. I think you're around midfield. And you got to get the first down. You just talked about your arm is not what it needs to be, and going into that game. But here you are, the biggest play of the season is 3rd and 9, and you got to pick up this first down. So you decide I'm gonna run it. Can you talk about that run and then your reaction, because it's famous that everybody has the picture.
That's the poster I had on my wall.
Yeah, the poster. You're just
right there.
Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah, I didn't decide to run it. I was told it was a good call, for sure. But it was a max pressure, and we motioned James out of the backfield, and they bring 6. I mean, they're cover 0. I think they bring 6. We got 5 blockers, and I kind of rushed it a little bit, but it was quarterback draw is what it was, and I just kind of shuffled back and said I need to find one, and it just kind of opened up right there in front of me. Somebody hit me in the ankle, and I tried to fall down, but luckily kept my feet and knew kind of where it was, and there was a good feeling. I thought I'd gotten it. I kind of fell forward and rolled over, and I remember like looking over and seeing that yard marker was like 3 yards behind me from where I ended up, and going, oh baby, and that was a good feeling. It was really relief, I mean, it was kind of a hard year and all that, and just relief more than excitement. And I wish I'd have been more excited about it. And I also wish that I guess I'm glad I didn't, but there was a couple fist pumps. Looking back on it, doing that to that whole stadium may have been a fun picture to have too, but maybe I'm glad I didn't do it. But if I'd have done it like in just a pure emotion at the end, like that, wah, like that I'd have gotten away with it and not been too much of an ego move. But kind of wish I'd done that. But it was a great feeling, and it was just kind of it's kind of a career thing, like I knew my time was kind of over there. Played a bowl game, but it was time for me to move on, time for somebody else to get in there, and I was just lucky to make that run.
Well, Charlie, before we get you out of here, man, the game is going to be played here in a couple of days down in Columbia. What are your thoughts? I know you've watched both teams all year, probably as much as you could. What are your thoughts going into this game, and who do you think is going to win?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who's going to win. I mean, I mean, you look at, they had that 5-game stretch that was tough, and I really don't know how good a team they are. I think it's hard to tell. I watched them. Was it last week where they kind of had a chance, and then they couldn't really get they run out of time. They get sacked. It was almost 3 plays in a row. It looked like. I watched the end of their game. We've been up and down. I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get. I think both teams are decent teams. Obviously we've underachieved a little bit this year. I commend Dabo for keeping it positive and keeping it going and I mean, it sounds like when you watch his stuff that he believes that they're going to win next week. And I know that matters. And the players see that too. It's been really hard for everybody. I know it's been hard for Cade. I think Clemson can do it. I certainly hope that they do. It would kind of make it the sting of this season not as bad. But I don't know. I think Sellers is that wild. I mean, the last year game, I'm looking at him going, this guy's about to play about 12 or 13 more games in his college career and be the first overall pick. It almost was what it looked like to me, and it hasn't gone that way. But he's still the same guy, and you've got to contain him defensively. So we'll see. I think Clemson will do it, but it should be a good one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Charlie, appreciate you, man. I know you got stuff to do, Thanksgiving and all, and everything you're doing over there, man. Appreciate you joining us today, and I know the fans do as well. And good luck in whatever else is going on, man, and we'll see you in Tiger Town sometime.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it.
All right, that was former Clemson quarterback Charlie Whitehurst joining us here on the Bleav in Clemson podcast. We appreciate him joining us. Coming in, Alex coming in and telling us all about the game and his thoughts of this week's game, but also what it was like for him, playing in it.
Yeah, man, it's cool to walk back through memory lane with him. Obviously, he's got that quarterback mind where he could walk you through play by play if he wanted to, if we had the time to do it. So that was fun to do, and great to have him on the show, get us geared up for rivalry weekend.
It was. I hope you fans enjoyed it. Our special edition. We've had the other podcast the other day. We had this one with Charlie, so we appreciate him coming on and talking about why he is the Gamecock killer, which I know all Clemson fans love. So, with that said, we'll talk to you next time on Bleav in Clemson Football, presented by FanDuel.